With the latest Hunger Games movie opening in cinemas this week, it can be tough for smaller films to draw attention to themselves, but an Aussie production is defying the odds by being the third most watched trailer on the iTunes store.
The Mule is the brainchild and directorial debut of Angus Sampson. He also plays the lead role alongside Aussie acting great Hugo Weaving, and Jabba caught up with them to find out why everyone's busting to see it.
There's no denying it's been a shocker at the box office for Aussie films this year. First, it was the apocalyptic These Final Hours that failed to make an impact. Then the critically acclaimed and thought-provoking attempts of Felony and Predestination. And finally, the internationally well-received film The Little Death. Maybe that's why Angus Sampson's new film is skipping the box office for a worldwide digital release. The Mule is a crime drama with a uniquely Australian twist.
You're being detained under suspicion of concealing narcotics. We're with the federal police. The law permits us to detain you for 7 days. The sooner you go to the toilet, the sooner we all go home.
We thought, can you make a suspenseful film about someone not going to the toilet? That's a pretty Australian sort of challenge, isn't it? And we've got this wonderfully rich tale, which ultimately I think only could be made in Australia. A suspense thriller about somebody not going to the toilet.
The importation of narcotics is a federal offence. Therefore, Detective Croft will need to perform a digital examination. Or if you prefer, we could x-ray your stomach instead. And be aware that a refusal may appear as an admission of guilt. Will you avail yourself to either procedure?
No.
It feels like quite an unconventional story and an unconventional film. You know, I mean, the premise of a young guy who goes to Thailand, swallows a kilo of heroin, gets holed up. I know it's based on a story out of New Zealand. Is there any sense of trepidation for you guys in being involved in a project that is perhaps more unconventional?
The reason why I think it's unusual is because it's funny and it's transgressive and it kind of actually gets inside you as well. So you can be laughing and groaning and being concerned for someone all at the same time when you're watching the film. I think that's the gem. That's why this film's a gem, because it somehow has the intelligence to know that life isn't simple, that characters aren't black and white, that we're all grey, that we're all complex, and all situations can be both tragic and comic at the same time.
It's a tough ask, but Angus Sampson gets to the bottom of it. The movie is set in the iconic Aussie backdrop of 1983, when all eyes were on the America's Cup. Ultimately, it's a story about battling it out until you win. And as the movie's tagline preaches, it's what's inside that counts.
Did any of the boys take drugs over there?
I don't know.
What, no Buddha stick?
Did you?
No.
Bit of hash?
Anyone offer you drugs?
Bit of coke?
No.
Ask you to hide drugs?
Mum like a taste, does she?
You sure?
No, I've never had heroin. It was an end-of-season 40 trip. That's it.
Who said anything about heroin?
He did. Didn't you? You got something you want to tell us?
Of course, Hugo Weaving adds some heft to any production, although it turns out you can only buy him for love, not money.
I've never ever been involved in this industry to make money. I've just never have been. That's not where it's at with me at all. I don't choose to do any project to make money. I never have done. Absolutely never.
That's lucky, because The Mule won't be selling any cinema tickets. So why a digital release?
The landscape of film distribution and marketing in all over the world has shifted and changed, and it's very difficult often to hear about a film, let alone go and see it. So this is a way of sort of getting the film out and trying to reach the widest possible audience. And it's already had massive interest in the States. It's the third most watched trailer on iTunes over there, which is a huge deal.
There is a huge amount of buzz around the film. I want to know what will determine if this is a success. How do we make it a success, and what defines its success?
I always define success in a film by if I like it, because we're all different, we've all got different ideas. I've never defined the success of a film entirely based on its success at the box office. I mean, I think film's bigger than that. the film, that why do you make films? Because you want to tell a story. Why do you go and see films? You want to be affected in some way. There's a human element to it that has to be part of the definition of its success. If it doesn't affect you, then it's not successful to me. If it does affect you, then it is successful. If it affects you in a very complex way, which this film does, I think it starts to become something else, and that's really interesting.
That looks great.
Doesn't it look good?
Yeah.
See, normally you do a deal for the box office and the back end, but this one's all back end. And that other actor was Ewan Leslie, of course, who was the other cop. He's a terrific actor, Ewan Leslie. So what a star.
That's great.
Beautiful. Here's time. Here's Talitha.
Thanks, Andrew. Good morning again.